Welcome back to I Am Well podcast. I am your host, Hypeyogi. Thank you so much for coming back to yet another episode here. This week, we are going to talk about stillness. I cannot help but to really bring this to everyone's attention on what's truly happening in our world right now, in our country here in the United States. It is so easy to have this thing called spiritual bypassing and believing that all good is good and we stay in the good and energetic, positive space, right? But the reality is there's just quite a lot of atrocities that's happening right now. Um, I was going to say outside of our doors on the streets, but for some people, even their own home isn't safe for them, right? And so I want to take this moment right here to just feel that in the body, to acknowledge that um, there's just many things that sometimes, most times, are just so out of our control. Um, and that's like a double edged sword, too, right? Because when do we actually say that we are not in control, or what are the things that we are in control of? In situations like this, I always go back to a very simple exercise, the exercise of understanding your power of influence. Understanding what is it that I can actually create impact on, what is it that I can actually change in this space that I have, what is it that I can do within my sphere of influence that can or may change someone's day, right? We've talked about spreading kindness in past episodes and understanding that um, extending kindness to one another and extending a smile, extending a gesture of seeing someone's humanity, right? And in this situation right now here in our country is that there's just so much divisiveness. There is so much unwillingness to see each other as equals, see each others as human race, see each other as people who deserve to live a joyful, happy, safe life, right? So I am an immigrant into to United States. Kind of crazy because it's been almost 20 years since we immigrated here in the States. I was the oldest of three kids. My mom immigrated with us. My dad was here 8 years before us. And so the immigration process was really long and arduous. Is that a word? And I think orgies can also be ordeal. It's such an ordeal because it requires so much discipline. It requires so much money. It requires so much understanding of the process. Sometimes hiring a lawyer in order to just bring your family with you. So my dad went through 8 years of that, saving money, hiring a lawyer, going through the process, going through the process of him being a um, citizen of United States, right? For him to deny his citizenship in the Philippines and basically say, yes, I will deny my Philippine citizenship, and I will then take on this United States citizenship to only bring my family here with me. So it was 8 years for us to go through that process. Um, At that time, my dad left when I was 8. My baby brother was 6, and my sister was just born. So basically, we had this almost two different realities until our reunification. Um, 8 years after my dad had immigrated. So coming back to fast forward to being an immigrant in United States, I luckily we immigrated here in Seattle, Washington. I actually believe that the city offers so much support for at least for us when we immigrated here. The city was not too big for me to where I will feel inhaled and overwhelmed. There were enough resources in the community that had helped me go through my education, that had helped me through the process of understanding the systems that are in place for me to figure out my next steps, right? I was 16 when I moved here, and kind of crazy. Almost 20 years ago, um, I I am still a little just in that process of what it was like to grow up in a different country. What it was like to immigrate to this country and figure out the ropes, basically. And then to me now as an adult, I thought I was going to be in Colombia for a while, or at least Mexico. And I was like, maybe I'm going to be in Latin America for the next third of my life. Um, but my sabbatical was about 2 years, and I came back to the United States about a year ago, summer of last year. So let me go back to being an immigrant in Seattle, Washington, and going through the process of becoming a citizen, a documented immigrant in United States. I was the oldest of three. For my when our papers were processed, by the time it was fully done, I was already 18 years old. And so out of the three kids, I was the only one that was not naturalized citizen because I was over 18. And so I had to go through the naturalization process. I had to study basically United States history, the Constitution in a way, and really understand what it's like on paper to be American. And so it was quite a process. Eventually, after taking the test, I was given my citizenship, and I had to denounce my Philippine citizenship in order to be United States citizen. And then there goes my blue passport, where I had this ability to travel without visa. I have this ability to um, visit different countries, and knowing that I am a quote unquote protected citizen, owning or having my United States citizenship allowed me this freedom to move a little bit more freely from one country to the next. I share this story with you in a very top level, surface level, because I want you to know that I am an immigrant too. I want you to know that I do have family members who did not choose to go through the naturalization process to be a citizen here in United States, but they are green card holders. Some probably expired, some has been renewed, right? So the immigration policy here in this country uh, is quite a process to understand and a process to go through. Um, so what's happening right now here in the city of Seattle, the city of Los Angeles, and other cities that um, raids are happening, um, that people are not seen as abiding citizens, right? It makes me really empathize on how others might be feeling and experiencing right now. My immigration story isn't unique to a lot of people. Perhaps our immigration story is super intertwined, right? Um, Lucky enough that my parents know how to read English, know how to speak English, at least understand, right? Um, and so I can only imagine how it might feel for other families that are going through this very situation right now in this country. I am still, in many ways, unaware of the travesty that is happening right now outside our comforts of our own apartment. So I know I don't really know the gravity of all of these in reality. I have seen a bunch of posts on social media. I do know that there was a protest here in Seattle last Saturday. I do know that people are experiencing um, this heightened anxiety um, and heightened just stress of the situation of like, am I going to get picked up next? Right. I was talking to someone the other day, and even though they are United States citizen, they still feel like the possibility of getting profiled. What if they don't have their documents and that to prove, right? What if um, they get coerced to do something or to admit to something that they don't even? Yeah, I can hear that. Cut. I'm gonna drink my drink. So I don't really know the true gravity of the situation happening right now, but I do know that there is heightened anxiety in our communities, people of colors communities, immigrant communities, communities that are highly profiled. Walking down the street and thinking that maybe they will get picked up, right? They will get taken their rights, that um, they will get violated. And so I want to bring us to a space of stillness whenever you are able to have that. And to also provide that space of safety for a lot of people who might be experiencing this anxiety, even though it's just a secondhand anxiety, right? Because uh, I can only imagine how it might feel for one to have this fear of being taken away from their family. Hmm. So I want to bring us to our topic for this week. And I want to introduce just the space of stillness and how rest so important this time, especially in such a heightened time, heightened stressful time, heightened anxiety time, to find your rest whenever you can. And so that is the purpose of I Am Well podcast, creating these pauses and moments to just take rest. And so I want to take a moment right here to ground us down into the present moment. Hmm. Knowing that you are here in this space, I hope that you are in a space where you feel safe. I hope that you are in a space of hope. And I hope that you embody strength. I hope you embody perseverance. And I hope that you embody joy. I hope that you embody love. And knowing that you are supported. And I hope that you are surrounded by your community, allowing you to feel this warm hug. Few rounds of inhales and exhales here. Inhale in and exhales out. You can rest your palms over your lap, allowing you to ground down. Inhale in and exhale out. Last one here. Inhale. Then exhale, release it out. Thank you for grounding in this space, grounding in the present moment. If you are next to someone, maybe share it with them as well. Maybe let them know that their breath is always there for them. Most of the time, when we feel anxiety and stress, the breath becomes shallow and abrupt. So take your time to truly allow the breaths to be full and nourishing. Allow the exhales to fully empty out the body with anything that is not serving you. With all the input that is being fed to us by media, by um, social media, um, by the news, by the paper, rear radio, whatever news article you listen to or watch or has your attention, take a notice that you do not need to always be consuming. Take a notice on what happens when you consume and what emotions, feelings, thoughts that gets unlocked or unearthed. I want you to remember that rest is so important. Sleep is so necessary. And I hope that you're getting enough sleep to rest the mind, to replenish the body. I hope that you are drinking enough water to nourish every cell in the body, right? We can go back to the basics, right? Basic needs of safety, of food, of shelter. And I hope that you have your basic needs met. It is truly hard to talk about spiritual ascension or enlightenment or anything in that realm of spirituality when your basic needs are not met. And so I want to acknowledge that. I want us to acknowledge that it is so hard to grow when you're just trying to survive, you know, at least intentional growth, directional growth. You will always grow when adversities come at you, of course. Uh, there's this grit, there's perseverance, but it feels good to grow in a direction of desire rather than out of survival or out of necessity. So I want to acknowledge that right here with you. The rest is such a radical act for black and brown people of colors. And so I hope that you take your time to rest. Resting not in complacency though. I feel like everything is such a needed balance. A needed balance to be like, okay, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to rest. While at the same time, I am not going to be numb and shut down and not care about what's happening on what's outside because I'm comfortable here inside my home because I'm a citizen of United States, documented citizen of United States. Um, I am not here speaking as if I do know all the language on any social movement, but I am aware and I am learning and I am open to continue learning. And it's so hard for me to speak about yoga and wellness without addressing this in the podcast. Um, but I'm also not here to pretend and put on a show that I am know it all. Again, this podcast right here is a space for us to get together, to speak, to discuss, to raise questions, to be curious, to learn as a community, to grow together, to create actionable items together, right? Um, but never gonna say that I'm an expert on anything. More so, I'm a human being just trying to do good in the world. And so, this episode is mainly that. This episode is about taking time to be aware of what is happening outside of our comfort and safety. It is about understanding our spheres of influence, understanding our power of influence, and lastly, knowing and being reminded that we have to cultivate time to rest, to breathe, to be in community with one another, to fill our cups in order to fill the cups of others. So, I again want to offer this time to just breathe. To close out our podcast this week, I offer you a guided meditation. You can do this seated, as comfortable as you would want yourself to be. Legs can be extended or legs can be cross legged, your choice. And from there, we just take a notice of our breath. Feeling the expansion of the chest, the broadening of the collarbones, the length that you create on that inhale. Releasing out, exhale. Holding at the bottom. Slowly find your inhale in for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Holding at the top. And exhale it out for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Holding at the bottom. Find your inhale in for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Holding at the top. Slowly release for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Holding at the bottom. Slowly find your inhale in for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold at the top. Slowly find your exhale. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold at the bottom. Find an inhale in to reset. Shrug the shoulders away from the ears. Exhale. Cleansing breath. Inhale in. Exhale. Release out. 2 more like that. In. Exhale. Release. Last one. Inhale. Maybe 2-part exhale out. Release and let it go. The first breath that we've done is, or I've demoed, is called Samavrita. It is 4 breaths or 4 counts of breath. Inhale, 4 counts of hold, and 4 counts of exhale, and 4 counts of hold at the bottom. So basically, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. You hold there. 2, 3, 4. Down. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Okay. The second breath that I have demoed is basically just releasing tension, cleansing, exhale, inhale in through the nose, and a sharp exhale out through the mouth. Something super, super helpful when you're doing that breath is maybe you can reach your arms high, inhale, and then you shrug the hands down, exhale. Quite dramatic, literal, like a wave, right? So I can't demo that right now on the camera, but imagine you're reaching your hands high, inhale, and then your exhale, letting go, exhale, hands all the way down, sweeping down, right? Another thing that I can leave you with for this week's podcast and this week's practice is just allowing your breath to travel through the body, nourishing every single part of the body. So, from your breath, visualizing your toes, inhale in through the nose, and then sending that exhale all the way to the toes. Maybe wiggling the toes. Inhale in through the nose once more. And then exhale all the way to your heels. All right. Inhale in through the nose. And then exhale all the way to your calves. You kind of get it now. Inhale in through the nose. Exhale all the way to your knees. And then you just let that pattern go from your toes to your knees, to your hips, to your belly, to your chest, to your jaw, to your face, Just slow it down. When you're feeling like there's a lot of thoughts happening before you go to bed, try that exercise. Try to breathe. Every single breath signifies a spot or a part in the body that you are nourishing. That's a mixed word. Nurturing and nourishing. Nurturing, nourishing. Yeah. So that is like top of my mind right now for all those who are listening in. I again want to remind you that you can carve out moments of time throughout the day to replenish, to reset, to remind yourself that you have power of influence, that you have this sphere of influence, that you can make change for yourself and for those around you. All right. I have class live here in Seattle Wednesdays at 5:45 p.m. at Lululemon U Village, and a meditation class at 7 p.m. Same location, right after that power flow that I teach. Yeah. So if you want to see me in person, and move our bodies and be in community, free classes at Lululemon U Village here in Seattle, Washington. Um, as always, you can find me at Hypeyogi on Instagram and I Am Well Podcast. You can go ahead and follow us there to be up to date on the most recent episode. Please don't forget to subscribe, add it to your list, add it to your listening list, download, and most importantly, I would love you to comment so that we can start this beautiful dialogue between me and you and our community that we are trying to grow. So, thank you so much for being here again for another episode. Thank you for being here again to listen in and build this community with me. I am so excited to see how this all really transforms and flourish. The I Am Well Collective, the I Am Well podcast. Again, And as always, stay well, be well. Peace out.